I'm here with Timur Gareyev, who, like always, created a flutter at the event and the last round, throwing away all the calculations. You know, everyone thought Rozum is going to win the event, but you managed to beat him.
Well, those those are really tough. You know, whenever you need the exact result. I guess my task was a little bit more straightforward, not necessarily easy. Obviously, winning is with white is much tougher than making a draw or winning with black. You know, for Rozum, you know, combined probability of that. However, it's just made me free to play for the win. Risk everything.
But the funny
which makes it emotionally easier to play.
But his opening choice, I thought, was not the best because it gave you a very aggressive position to play with.
Well, if he was familiar with the situation, I guess if he was generally familiar with the opening, one thing he might have not been aware, since I don't have any games with this variation, is h4 and a big attack straight away. Otherwise, playing in the middle, playing for trades, exchanges, could have possibly given him quite a good even play, where he could have just traded things and equalized and brought things down to equality that I couldn't continue and play for a win.
Yeah, but h4 is kind of quite popular main line, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one to handle.
Actually, as far as I know, g6 is considered to be more popular than h6, right?
Yes, I know the g6 has been the recent trend, huh?
Yeah, but okay, h6 looks logical, and bishop b1, and here queen c2 is played, or what? I mean, this move you think is a novelty, or?
I've checked this. I've checked this idea before.
You checked it.
And up to the variations that we played in the game, something very similar.
So first thing is you can't take here.
You cannot take because of queen h5.
f5 and hg, yeah?
Yep, hg. So now the checkmating idea is to make a check on h8, followed by g6. So instead of if he does let me, if he plays cd, for example, right, or knight c6, yeah. So I guess g6 is simply winning, right?
g6 followed by queen h8, yeah.
G6 is simply winning. If he runs king f8, for example.
Here?
Yeah, if he goes king f8, I guess g6 is still very strong, but I also have idea of queen h8 followed by g6.
Yeah, and then queen h5 is the mate.
Yeah, followed by g6, followed by queen h5. Yeah.
So if he takes on g5, you had a very nice move prepared.
Yeah, there's knight e4, which decides the game.
Because if he takes on c1, you go check.
On h8.
King here and
knight d6. So the king is getting mated from either side.
Yes. Okay, so he couldn't take your knight, but it doesn't seem like it's doing much. So
taking with the bishop is a possibility. It activates his queen. But then just if you play like knight f3, let's say, queen takes g2, rook g1.
It's going to be great
queen
attack.
h3. I mean, okay, this kind of situation, I don't think it's losing right away. I think this might be just fine for black. It's possible, but playing this kind of game is just
when you just need a draw to win the title.
Yeah, this is not something you want to go for. It's really I'm probably waiting for white. This is probably,
I think so.
You cannot hold. I don't think you can hold this. Yeah.
With these guys here and this guy opening.
Yeah, down to pawns. Even with white's king, the only thing white's king is in the middle. That could be black. So obviously
he took.
Yeah, just CD is a strong move, where my direct attacking ideas don't pay off if I go for them and try to exploit right away. So for example, bishop h7, king f8 is the only move, and now I can consider different kinds of sacrifices. So if I play queen h5 now, queen h5, knight e5, and I don't really f4.
Now hg is also possible, right?
Well, hg, then fe, and then black's king is Black's king is no, just castle. No.
You can shift your rook actually. This is a
Yeah, this is losing. It's just big attack. Black would have to so after queen h5. Let's go back. Let's go this. Yeah, this is so queen h5, knight e5, f4. So maybe let's see. Yeah, this one is a little bit tough. So instead of knight e5, maybe hg, huh? So here, actually, bishop g8 is interesting, but it's not going to work because of knight e5. Because if king g8, then I play hg, and
you're mating.
There's no. It's at best. Yeah, I think this is checkmate. So black play knight e5 here, and then white just run out of steam here immediately.
So queen h5, maybe hg would have been the best defense for him.
You know what? Sorry, Sagar. Let's try this again. So bishop g8, so hg, knight e. So okay, so no, so sorry. Oh, hg. I also have hg, right? So hg. He can take that g5 pawn or play knight e5, right?
Yeah.
So knight e5.
Seems like black should be okay.
Should be okay, but if we go back a second, bishop g8 here.
Yeah, but this what?
Yeah, knight e5.
Knight e5.
And I'm thinking, how about I play something like, let's see, knight f3.
But now I can take here.
Yeah.
Hgf.
Yeah.
If I go g6.
Or g6, queen h6 is queen h6 is simply winning.
And then this is mate.
Yeah. So.
By the way, that's also not a mate, yeah, because I can go. Sorry.
You have some bishop b4 stuff, but
no, bishop f6 perhaps. But it doesn't look so good. You have the dark square.
Yeah, with the dark squares, it's not gonna.
Maybe it holds it.
Yeah, maybe, but
because queen goes back.
But this
to
could
G2.
be if I take and just check and bishop d2, something like that. Well, okay, I guess this game there's a lot of crazy stuff. But okay, let's go back to the main line.
Yeah, let's go to the game because I think we could analyze this game for like 2 hours.
Yeah, this is quite a bit of stuff, you know. So but the main point is that if king f8, I have the more direct threats would be knight f7 or knight e6. So let's go with knight f7, knight e7. I mean either one, right? So fe and queen f3, and here bishop f6. And then once I pick up the bishop, and if you can notice my rook along my queen side is kind of passive, you know. So black comes into the game very quickly. Even if there's a certain situation, maybe I pick up an exchange somehow, which may be possible in some variations, black could generate a lot of compensation with that. Even though after bishop g6 you just play rook e7. If my queen moves, then you just likely just take the knight out. If rook h3, then you can trade queens and bring the knight to f6.
Yes.
So you know, so he's able to defend, which is like the first important part for white to realize. So now instead of bishop h7, we're gonna want to keep up the initiative. So f4 is necessary because knight e5 a lot of times helps black defend. It's not just the central pawn.
So you defended
the downside to playing f4 is obviously blocking the c1 bishop, which could be very useful in furthering the attack. So here my opponent still keeps on playing very well, and just focuses on the right kind of game. He's not scared. So he just brings the knight over to c6, just developing the piece.
So you also get your queen in, yeah, now?
So yeah, this is obvious. Something I have to do. If I come from c2, then knight f8, right? And here my attack is stuck, right?
Yeah.
So I have to definitely bring my queen over to h5. and after rook f8. So once again, accepting the sacrifice is impossible.
Yeah.
So rook f8, and here I took on d5 followed by castle. So taking on d5 seems reasonable.
Take, and this move would be very difficult for many players to make because you want your rook on the h file against hg5, but I think for you it was not so difficult to find castle.
Well, just didn't want to keep my king over on e1 because there's a lot of stuff like knight c5, knight d3. There's a lot of checks. So even if I'm very successful with my attack, he can unexpectedly counter sacrifice some stuff and give up some stuff to stop my attack and then go after my king.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times there's discovered checks that could help him defend, and those moves could be quite unexpected and ruin my attack. Objectively speaking, I knew I wasn't even on the better side of things. I think black is ahead, but you just got to keep finding all those very precise moves, and at times they're not very logical because you're going to want to first save your king, but at times computer, like the objective analysis, which here I think if you do decide that your position is solid, a move like a5 doesn't seem like it may seem completely crazy.
Yeah, it looks like there's fire going in that building and you're putting water in some other.
Yeah.
But
so in this situation, I would bring the knight over to f3, right, to bring more pieces, and now knight c5. So that the idea is that now black's knight on c5 is not going to get kicked out, but obviously I do have very strong ideas such as just
F5
pushing forward.
maybe,
Yeah, f5 is a killer, huh? Yeah.
Maybe
F5.
d3 is what white should try to get in.
But
you're
let's say
getting-
f5, so d3.
No, but here d3 f6 maybe.
d3 f6, and then maybe just sack the bishop there, huh?
Ah,
Oh, then I have knight h7 followed by knight g5, right?
how?
So queen f6, knight h7.
But take, and then take here.
So yeah, just the attack continues
Yep.
somehow, right? So yeah, I guess I do have a
Queen e8.
Oh.
He wanted to play
I'm sorry.
F5,
So
yeah?
if f5, let's try f6. f6. So here queen g6.
Okay.
So now
You have to take the knight, yeah, on g5.
so h. I'm thinking
Here then maybe f6, huh?
yeah, f6 is decisive, huh? So I'm thinking hg, and now knight g5, right?
I have to take.
fg and f6, right? So once again, that's winning, huh?
Maybe, but you give a check, my king can always run out from f7, so
Yes, so
perhaps
bishop
I could
f6,
take.
yeah. Queen h7, king f7. Now rook f, ef. This is losing for black. Yeah, this is black is not going to be able to survive with those bishops coming in too. Yeah? So I guess he cannot waste time.
Maybe d3 or...
No, just
sorry, queen d7.
Okay, we're not gonna allow you to play blitz today. So
f6 also not so good, yeah? Queen g6.
yeah, I guess queen g6 is decisive here. So the attack is too strong. But so a5 is obviously is exaggerated.
Yeah.
So my opponent
Queen
just,
e8 seemed
I'm
more
gonna
to the
play
point
solid.
with the
So
idea of f5.
here I probably missed out on keeping some of the attacking edge. By first, I should first play bishop h7, and then knight d to f3, and then in that case, whenever my opponent plays f5, which is the key idea, then I have bishop g6, and this is winning for me. See, right?
And you got the bishop inside his territory.
Inside the territory, so I can keep it for the attack. Now, after knight df3, the idea I thought maybe not so great for me is if he trades the knight on e5, on g5. Sorry, so bishop g5.
Is it before h7 check or?
No, bishop h7, king h8, knight df3, bishop takes g5, and here obviously I have to check hg and fg. But as we did, it didn't seem like it was very promising. Knight g5 in that case, and here knight c5. So here, black's knight trying to come out to b3, hit that bishop. But here, obviously, f5 is the first thing to think about. After which f6 is no. So white wants to play f6.
Yeah.
Obviously, black's consideration f6, but then bishop g6 followed by knight f7, then bishop h6. All that stuff is just maybe take, or actually here bishop f4 first. I'm thinking bishop f4, and then let's say
this looks very scary with three
this
pieces.
is queen e7. Yeah, this is quite strong, huh? I don't know if I can play rook e1.
Yeah, you haven't even given up any material also.
Yeah, barely. It's just the two double pawns in the middle, right? So here rook knight e5, but there's likely there's likely something very very strong, either directly trading on. I guess you could probably just take on e5, push f6, and then bring the rook over, and then some kind of sacrifice. But this is obvious. It's going to be incredibly tough for black to survive this. Now,
so in the game, instead of giving a check on h7, you went for ndf3.
I just played knight df3, and I'll allow them to come through with f5.
You had to take.
I have to take. I did calculate this, so along with knight e6, and I did think. Sorry. So here in this position, the idea is that knight c7 is coming. If he doesn't, if he plays something like rook b8, for example, for one thing, f5 is hanging. But if that's, I guess bishop f5 works, right?
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, then I could just take on d4, and still f5 is hanging, and I have a superior structure in this situation, right? So maybe the other knight after all. But and then bishop c5, bishop e3, just better position, right? So now interestingly, interestingly enough,
this happened in the game.
He actually played a little bit more precise, so to speak, in his to make his idea happen. So he before playing f5, he played d3 first. So he throws that pawn in. I take it immediately because I know I have to keep that bishop engaged, whatever happens. And here he plays f5. So bishop c5 check is possible. So f5.
But he played f5.
So here queen takes e8. Now, if you did want to play bishop c5, you could do it now. Bishop c5, king over to h2, let's say, and then rook takes e8. And now, in this case, I would have to put my knight on h3. But the problem is bishop on c5 takes that square, and whatever blockade black tries to set up, white is still quite superior with the pawn structure, and that should definitely be advantage for white.
So he didn't give a check. He played rook e8, and after knight e6, you did play knight e6, yeah?
I did play knight e6, and in this situation, the most promising idea for him, and I guess if the situation was reversed, I think he would have gone for knight d takes e5. In which case,
now e6 is hanging, so you have to
this,
play.
Ultimately, you see like the very strongest players, including Rozum. Is obviously a top level player. A lot of times, even playing for a, when the draw is good, not necessarily playing for a draw, but when the draw is definitely a great result, then possibly even accelerating some activity and putting your opponent on the defensive could definitely work out to your advantage. So, for example, here with the sacrifice, so check, king to h2, pick up the bishop on d3. I would have won an exchange, and my knight actually has ways to get out. But here, interestingly enough, you just develop the bishop, bring so knight c7, bring the rook over to d8, and after knight d5, bishop e6, knight c3, a5. So this one is actually is similar to Karpov Kasparov, right?
Yeah.
Where you just
Where he gave up a pawn and just
Yep.
dominated with his pieces.
Now this is not losing for white or anything. It's a position is actually quite even, but dynamically, if he was able to, if he was going to hold, this is the kind of game that might have worked out better than the plan he was going to execute, which also made sense.
So he played over here knight e6.
He just went with his plan, bishop c5 check.
And then you
I
took.
traded, and here I should have likely kept that bishop by playing bishop c2. But I didn't like the initiative d4, b4, d3, and this is the kind of stuff that I should have definitely played. And here, interestingly enough, so I tried to go after d3 pawn, possibly a bishop e3. So all this stuff could be
It should be
a
better.
little bit tricky, but I'm holding the pawn, and there's some tactics, some interesting stuff begins here.
But you went rook d1, simple.
I just played rook d1, and went for this endgame, which actually turned out to be.
It's actually very interesting how the game was a few moves ago, and now it's a complete technical affair.
Yeah, this was comfortable for me because I knew I had chances here.
Bishop e3, and it's a pleasant position for white too.
Yep.
b4, the b4, yeah. Or you-
Here b4 might have been the more energetic choice, since then b6 is not possible, and in which case white's main idea now. Well, here b6, is just going to lose the knight, right?
Right.
So he'd have to play. If he plays a6, the key is that I can settle my bishop either on b6 or c5, and also the idea of playing d4 may seem like. So, for example, here, instead of a6, let's try d4 here. That may visually seem like, hey, well, why not just get into the endgame? For one thing, I could take with the knight, and a7 is still hanging. Another thing, I could also, every time d4 happens, I could also take with the bishop, and
You're
it's
completely
just keeping that same balance, and that's just down a pawn, right?
So, but you went for king f2, yeah.
King f2. Ultimately, I just figured I'll bring the king over, and as he brought his king, I played b4. In which case, he was thinking about this h5 plan, but the problem for him is that I played b5, and then when he plays knight to e7, bishop c5, and then if I get rid of that knight, then that's just one of those typical
Good knight versus bad
strategically
bishop.
lost positions, so to speak, right? It would be torturous to play that stuff, no?
So he played b6.
Played b6, and I figured I commit to h5, and this is where knight e7 was the proper idea, keeping the blockade. In which case, as I thought about it, so knight e7, here things speed up because now he's going after that h5 pawn. So I have to do something. Knight d4, and here, as I contemplated, bishop f7. So there's no tactics here because the c8 is protected, but I do have g4. And after fg, f5, this could definitely be the initiative I'm looking for in the game.
Yep. So what happened?
And then here just a disaster happened for Ivan, which kind of sucks because he defended really good, found all the great ideas. Now here, this is advantage for me, pretty decent edge to continue the play and fight for some. But obviously bishop f7 just gave up the game immediately because of e6. Yeah.
And he had to resign.
He had to resign immediately because this is completely hopeless. Now the opposite color bishops are gonna play against him as I put the bishop over in d4, rook c7. The bishop on e6 is dead, so he has zero counterplay.
So Timur, congratulations for your win. Very nice game, always entertaining, and I think the last round you wore the India T-shirt.
Yeah.
Also was good.
Yeah, I guess that's
Lucky
how you gotta
charm.
do it, huh?
Yeah. Maybe, and overall, if you have to sum up in one word your Indian trip, 4 tournaments, what would that be?
I'd say good training.
Good training.
Good training
For
for life.
for life. Okay, that's Timur Gareyev for you. Thoroughly entertaining chess player and wonderful person. Thanks for coming to India and entertaining
Yeah,
us.
definitely. Thank you, Shagar.